And welcome everyone. Today's interview is with the most beautiful man on earth, David Jones, drummer, meditator, a brother to all humanity. David, welcome to my little Facebook show. How are you?
Oh, very well, Sarah. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. I'm one of the beautiful men in the world.
One
One
of
of them.
the one of the beautiful men in the world, and because of the work that you do through your music and through the way you live, there are more and more beautiful men and women in the world. So I wanted to talk to you today, if it's okay, about the path that you're on
Yes.
and the path that we all want to get on, but sometimes we struggle so much, and I need your help basically.
Okay. Well, I remember we chatted the other day, and the phrase that you came up with, I thought was really great. How to stay on track. Well, what do we need to do to stay on track? And the word track, I was thinking about it. Well, what is a track? It's a path, of course, but it's also we talk about the mind having a track. And it's more than just the activity of our life, but it's really how we think about ourselves, about others, about the world in general, from all this complexity coming from the outside. The track really is to keep it simple and powerful inside. And that is a quest, and that was your word too. I love that word that you used the other day. It's the quest. We're really on a journey with this. It's not necessarily an end destination, but the whole journey itself is of discovery, of experimenting. And, we sometimes fall over and make little mistakes or think, oh, I could have said that better, or I could have done something a little more beneficial. And certainly everything that we do and say comes from the attitude, which is the result of many thoughts and feelings.
That's right. So when we think about, I think we suffer from a kind of perfectionism that doesn't work. So what I mean by that personally is it's difficult to start doing something unless it's going to be right the first time, and that comes from a sense of professionalism and it comes from a good place. You want to be good, you want to be right, you want to be the best person that you can be, and so every time you're not, you talk to yourself about how bad you are, and it derails your path to becoming a better person. So what are we talking about? I think the thing I've learned recently, and you've helped me a lot with this, is the goal is not the destination. The
Mm.
destination is every moment that we're walking this
Mm.
path to
Yeah,
becoming
yeah.
a better person. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the more difficult times that you've had, and how and what kinds of things throw you, David Jones, off that path.
Thank you, Sarah. Look, we're all very similar. We are human beings. We have a mixture of all our original, what I call the original qualities of peace and love and power and self respect. And what's happened over a long period of time is there's a mixture. So we have other qualities that, yeah, as you say, derail that or sabotage that. So for me personally, when something from left of field really bowls me over, meditation particularly, and music, and I don't see them as separate anymore. They're very integrated for me. And so my sense of well-being is always restored and reset through playing. So anything creative and stillness. So whatever comes, I need to get a perspective on it, a spiritual perspective. And what the spiritual perspective really continues to teach me is that whatever's happening in life is meant to be happening at that point, and sometimes I'm not accepting it. I'm really rejecting and resisting it. And yet there's a path there for me to understand, to recognize, to learn, to heal, to grow from. So yeah, definitely, there are fluctuations in all of us, no matter if we've been on a spiritual path for 3 minutes or 3 days or, for me, 36 years, it doesn't matter. We're still dealing with the same things. What about you, Sarah? Well, I mean, what do you do if something really comes that's very challenging? It's quite overwhelming. What's your process or your approach?
Mm. Well, basically my secrets. You're privy to a lot of the stories that I wouldn't say publicly on this interview. I'm prone to aggression and deep anxiety and fear of the future, remorse, the past pulling me back into these repetitive ways of thinking, which are full of fear and lead to more anxiety. And and just recently, I got really sick of that,
Mm,
and
mm.
and I knew something had to change, and I knew it couldn't just be a superficial change. So I'm really great at superficial changes. I'm really great at fad diets. I'm really great at catchphrases, and the my intellect is on, whereas the spiritual side is usually switched off. That's just the way I am. I'm cynical. I'm all of these things that don't lead to living in the moment, basically. And so recently I've started, and some of you out there get this. You want to be fit, you want to be healthy, you want to quit smoking or drinking, or you want to quit being mean, you want to quit all this stuff.
Mm, mm.
But until you get all the puzzle pieces in place, all of them, there will always be one thing missing, and you will always be trying to fill up this emptiness in you with all these external things. So personally, lately, I've discovered yoga, as I was telling you the other day. Now, I've done yoga before, but it's just put my neck out and it's made me competitive and stressed. But the difference here
Right.
the difference here is I I'm fully understanding that the breathing and the postures take me to a place of focus that no
Mm.
other thoughts can get in, because these postures are quite difficult. But the concentration you need to match your breathing with the poses takes you to that place of stillness. And all of a sudden, you're filling yourself up with this other emotion. And I don't have the vocabulary for it because I haven't had a grown up lifetime of this way of thinking. But the only way I can describe it is I'm filling myself up with something other than negative talk, fear, regret, remorse. All of
Mm.
that
Mm.
stuff that's
Yeah,
on all the time is now being replaced by something else, and
that's
it
beautiful.
feels good.
Sarah, that's so beautiful. And what I'd like to address very gently straight away is that you're not an aggressive person. There is aggression. It's like a germ. When these other things come that are very, the lower energy, there's a low vibration. In really simple terms, it just feels like something else has entered the natural state. The natural state, when we're very still, we're very calm, say a day off and you've got lots of time and you can just sit and watch the garden and listen to the birds. Those really little moments in between that feel like they're very rare, but that's the natural state. And we feel, and I'm not wanting to catch you out on this or anything, it's just when you were describing yourself, I see all the other things,
Mm.
that you're so honest, you're courageous, so generous, kind and loving, and you're a powerful being. You are a powerful person, and you get a lot of things done, not just the actions themselves, but there's such a beautiful intent. So isn't it interesting that I see you like that? I don't see you as the angry, frustrated, whatever the descriptions were that you gave yourself. And again, I'm not wanting to call you out on this. It's just that we all have done this many, many times. We've given ourselves this message that I'm like this, I am this. And one of the parts of you can say this, the path that we're on, or this, this track, is changing the mental track to, the self-talk to, I am this, I am a peaceful person, even though I'm not feeling it at the moment. So this is where a bit of a leap of, you could say faith, but it's more about investigation, that I am a peaceful soul. What does that mean? Now, if I go into that as a meditation, just breathe deeply and think about that. very creatively. It's not trying to stop your mind or something. That's impossible. Because we're thinking beings, we're thinking all the time. And so even if you try to stop your thoughts, you want to try that now, just for 30 seconds?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
This is literally 30 seconds. Just see if all of your listeners and people viewing this, for 30 seconds, it's a gentle challenge to you. See if you can have no thoughts, not one thought in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Excuse me laughing, because I know the outcome of this already.
Yeah.
So, okay, just for 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm really sure that if no other thoughts came, like what I have to do in 10 minutes time, or today, or what's for dinner, or what's for lunch, excuse me, if no other thoughts like that came, at least there was the thought, right, I really don't want to think. So I'm thinking about not thinking. So there is thought, even about thought, isn't there? I know this sounds very kind of Zen, but it's just practical. It's like we're always thinking. So the essence of me, I'm a thinking being, but I'm not the thoughts. And this is a very fundamental, important thing for us all to realize, that I'm not the thoughts, I'm not the attitudes even. Yes, they're informing how I'm acting at the moment, but it's like an overlay on top of my natural state. When you've been in the bush, or you've gone on a lovely holiday somewhere, it's a campfire, you're watching little sparks of the campfire going up, and there's the stars at night, just magic, and you feel content. There's nothing worrying you, there's nowhere to be, you don't have to do anything. Now, of course, we are doing beings as well, but isn't that interesting? Doing and being, there are two things there. The human being, we are a human being, but often we're human doing.
Absolutely.
Doing. And we very seldom go into the state of just being. Now, it sounds like it'd be very difficult, but, as we did there with the 30 seconds, it is tricky just to slow everything down, isn't it?
Absolutely. And actually, when we did the 30 seconds, I was counting the 30 seconds.
Yes,
because
of course.
I couldn't just trust that you would re-engage with us after 30 seconds. My intellect had to make sure it was actually 30 seconds. And the competitive part of me said, well, that wasn't 30 seconds, David.
It's probably 26.
It was something like 24, 25. Yeah, that's right. Now, all of this that you're saying is all very well, and it's all very easy to understand. And it's all, it makes perfect sense when we're feeling great. And we can all do it when we feel like we do have a day off, or we're sitting down. The thing that I've struggled with is stress from being too busy, stress from overuse of my body playing the violin.
Yes.
And the stress, I want to particularly talk about this and what you think of this. The stress that comes from being a righteous person. Now, a righteous person, as you know, clearly defines right from wrong, is a very judgmental person. They observe great injustice and they comment on it and they try and do something about it. The doers are usually the righteous people. And I've struggled with being righteous for a long time. And I've noticed lately, and lately I have let go of a lot of that, but at the same time feel, well, if I'm letting go of that, certain people are getting away with this and getting away with that. And that's something that a lot of people I've noticed in the talks I've gone to at the meditation center, the questions that come up in the chat. But how do I deal with people from work who are being mean to me? How am I going to deal with this? And could you just talk a little bit about the value of what you're talking about at our absolute worst moments, where we feel like we're completely out of control?
That's great, Sarah. Thank you. Really, when we're challenged right to the max, this is where all of our you could say that spiritual skills need to have been formed over a long period of time. Now, if we're just starting out, what it means is I move away from the word practice because it seems like there's obligation and there's stress in that and force. So it's all about energy. If I want to exercise, then I do need to just do a little bit at first, which I'm doing at the moment myself, and just doing a little fasting, coming out of this pandemic. It's still going on, of course, but there's been a lot of being at home and not as much activity. So what I'm finding is just a little bit a day and increasing that, very gradually is successful for me. Same with any, you could say, consciousness training, or just really looking at your thoughts and wanting to change them and where they go. So that's a gradual thing. And so when something really major comes to us, we are going to be not 100%, even if we've started a particular practice. And the important thing to realize about that is that, okay, I'm going to get better. So even though we come away from a situation of said something we really regret, or we think in a really negative way, and we know that it's reaching the people, even if we're physically distant, the law of energy and of thought, if you like, is that thought reaches target. So if I'm having a negative thought, and I'm talking about myself now, about anyone in any shape or form, I want to do double good wishes after that to really not only neutralize that, but to put something in its place that I know will reach as well. And it's even time of the day or night when I'm sending an email. I'm really conscious of that it's going to have an effect energetically on a very practical level. If someone reads something at 11 p.m. at night before they go to sleep, they're going to be thinking about it. So the power of thought can't be underestimated. And so in our own consciousness training, and let's put it in a very, very simple way, once I start to watch my thoughts, feel what's going on, and understand and acknowledge something, that's the first step, and that's probably 50% of it. Not wanting to give you, any sort of percentages to this, but we're really halfway there just by awareness, that we're aware of what thoughts and feelings are coming up. And then sometimes really consciously deciding, I'm just going to sit. It might be looking and standing. It doesn't matter. What I mean is sit my consciousness and be still for a moment and see what's really going on.
Yes, so
why am I getting so angry? Why am I getting so upset about this? And what's really going on in the significance of things, Sarah?
So you're talking, I'm sorry to interrupt, you're talking about you're talking about the essence of you observing the outer layers of you. And the outer layers of you are necessary for, life, work, going to work, doing all the practical, mundane, human things of life.
Yeah.
And if you sit and watch those emotions go by or go through quite consciously, not only are you sitting still for a second, which one never does, one being me, not only are you doing that, you're actually making a distinction between the observer you and the ego you, or the negative ego. I'm not sure how you guys word that, but it does feel like the ego, because the ego is wrapped up in all of the positive things and the negative things.
True.
So I wanted to carry on this thought to the stories that we tell in our minds, and the stories that tell us who we are in a social setting. So what culture we're from, what nationality we are, what school we went to, what gender we are, all of these labels that we put on ourselves, which make us feel real and meaningful and significant. I've struggled with this because I'm proud of some of the qualities that I have. Like, I'm a righteous person and I'm a fair person and all of this, but it leads me to massive conflict with people, especially the closest people to me.
Sure.
So when we let go of our identities in terms of the ego, how can we quickly, I know this sounds competitive too, but the frightening thing for a lot of people, I think, is once we've let go of our identities in a social context, there mightn't be anything in there. Who are we? Who are we without our nationality or our gender or our hair color
Sure.
or our school that we went to or our parents and the conflicts we've had there? Because some of the stories are negative, but some are also positive. So to let go of the negative stories, do we also have to let go of the positive ones as well? The ones that make us feel proud and strong and all of that. And unfortunately, I feel like we have to let go of compliments just as much as we have to let go of
Yeah.
insults. And that's a really difficult thing to do because
Deep. It's
I'm
very deep.
stripping away everything here, and what am I left with? And that's the fearful thing, I think, that people are afraid to let go of the things that make them feel who they are. So can you talk about who we are without all of that stuff?
Oh, it's such a beautiful question. So deep. It's so deep, Sarah. What we need to be doing in our own way. It's all very private and personal, our own internal journey. And it is, of course, dependent on where we've come from in terms of our heritage and our conditioning and our parents and our schooling and our nationality, all those sort of things, but they don't define us completely internally. Now, the identity within, which is working everything, I, the soul, if you like, I, the spirit, the consciousness, the spark of consciousness that I am. Even that needs a bit of definition. But if we just go into the feeling of that the childlike essence of myself, this beautiful being of energy, that's who I am. And I'm playing a role. I'm playing many roles, and the roles can change. Even gender can change these days, if you so desire. So what is permanent? What is imperishable? What is the essence, the core of me? That's the thing to move towards. That's the realization to move deeply into very regularly. Otherwise, it'll just seem like imagination or some sort of manipulation of the mind. But when we stop, slow the thoughts down, which we can do now if you like, and just breathe into this moment, into this present moment, because the mind is always reflecting, sometimes being traumatized by past memories. Things are coming up all the time. And as you said before too, good memories too. It can just be distracting because that memory, that event's not happening now. It's gone. But they're reference points, definitely. But I don't have to live there in the past.
Yeah.
And so ideally we're keeping ourselves in the present moment. Yes, we have to plan and project forward, but not too much. And I know from personal experience that can be so overwhelming. The things are always planning, and in the future. So nothing really is appreciated about this present moment. Just here and now, sitting with you, got the fan on, it's a warm day, I'm looking out in this beautiful garden, I can hear little birds, This is the only thing that's happening in this moment, just you and I talking.
Would you mind, with that in mind, do a short guided meditation for us now? And speaking of planning, when we come out of it, I'd really like to talk to you about the concept of success. So let's
Oh my goodness.
Let's listen to David.
You have 3 hours? Do we have 3 hours?
Don't worry. I'll speaking of being half, I will keep it on track. Don't you worry. But
Are we okay for still being half an hour? Because we're coming up to about 3 minutes before the half hour. But maybe we can do a part two and part three. I'm fine with that.
Absolutely, absolutely up to you. But just for now, let's think about what you've just been talking about.
Yes.
Finding the true essence, the consciousness. Help us out there, David.
Excuse me. Yes. So when we sit quiet and just breathe deeply as we are now, let's breathe together actually. So breathing in through the nose if you're able to. And just gently hold the breath. Allow time to stand still just for a moment. And breathing out through the mouth, letting go of stress and tension. And again, breathing in through the nose, holding the breath gently, embracing life energy. And breathing out through the mouth into this present moment, the eternal moment. Again, breathing in through the nose, holding the breath gently. Thoughts are slowing down. Breathing out through the mouth, let go of fear, tension, uncertainty, disappointment. Let it all go. And now just naturally find your own rate of breathing that's deeper than usual. And settle into this present moment. And in this moment, you are free. Right in this moment, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anywhere, just for this moment. And as time is ticking on, we now stand still and allow the thoughts to become still, even though they're still moving to different things, planning ahead, remembering things of the past. Just breathing through it all and realizing that all the thoughts and feelings that are coming in and arising from within are just like clouds. And even storm-like thoughts, even a storm will eventually pass. And behind the clouds, the sun is always shining. The sun of your consciousness. And all we need to do is just be still enough to let the feeling of calm arise. It's already there, deep within. It's just that we've been so busy and thinking so much that we are not allowing it to emerge. And this natural state of peace does emerge, a state of stability, a feeling of kindness for the self, a gentleness to treat my mind like my best friend. So even though the mind continually goes to other things, just gently bring it back to this one thought. I am the peaceful soul. Breathe that in. Feel the power of that thought, the beauty of that thought. I am the calm being behind my eyes. I'm the one looking through the eyes. I'm the consciousness. I'm hearing through my ears. I feel the weight of my body in the chair or wherever the body is. And I feel light. So even if I just feel a little bit of this, this is success. And so continuing to breathe more deeply as we continue. This is the most wonderful state to be in. It's the zone for us as musicians. As people, we don't have to be a musician to access the zone. And they talk about it in sport in a similar way. So whether it be very high level performance, physically, mentally, whether it be being present for your children, for relationships around you, you could say that's high level performance of the consciousness. You know, and the most wonderful feedback we get of our own progress, ongoing progress, is our relationships. And then often that's where most challenges come up. You know, that someone can really push our buttons, and especially the people we've known for a long time, the closest ones to us. So for myself to perceive of myself as the spiritual being first. Yes, I have this wonderful mask and costume that I'm wearing. Currently David, 62 years old, male, little white guy born in Richmond, Melbourne. You know, the thing is, I'm much more than that. I'm not just that. Yes, that's extremely important. You know, I'm a professional drummer for 50 years, been meditating in a spiritual lifestyle for 36 years. But yeah, okay, there's all of those things. But what's most important is my consciousness, how I think about things, how I feel, ongoing, how I look after myself, take care of my mind, so that even my brain, you know, because the brain is the computer. I'm not the brain. Even the brain, I need to look after that so it's performing well for me. So all of this performance and success, this might be preempting your question. Sarah, in the Western countries, you know this too, that we all feel, you know, at least 78%, you know, got to get 90%. That's success. Very high level of achievement. A more Eastern approach, or you could say spiritual approach, not that all the East is spiritual, but a more Eastern approach is if I just have a fleeting experience in 5 minutes, say, of meditation, of stillness, reflection, even if I have a fleeting experience of calm, that's success. And there's a beautiful, beautiful old saying, drops make an ocean. So just a little drop of something. And, you know, sometimes when we sit in quiet, in prayer or meditation, reflection, contemplation, whatever you want to call it, we feel, oh, nothing's happening. Didn't get anything from that. Yet, just the pure act or non-act of just sitting, being still, stopping for a minute, literally a minute, 30 seconds, it's enough to reset. And so the effect of that, it might not have an experience during that time, but the effect of that can be long lasting. So then if we have the aim of, you know, 2 or 3 times a day just to stop and build on that. So eventually it can become 10 minutes meditation to start the day and 10 minutes to finish, or even 5, just to start something. And to get a perspective, you know, that's a bigger, wider, a perspective that has significance, rather than just the external politics of what's happening and of the corruption and pollution and all the things that really disturb us, the violence in the world, you know. And I have a picture for this, Sarah, and I might have shown you this before, and I use my 2 hands for this, but the news shows us this, and media, you know, and they have to, that's their job. They're just showing us the collapse into chaos, you know, corruption, pollution, everything. But actually what's happening at the same time is the rise of consciousness. So this time period is the confluence of the old ways of thinking, and we've got many names for that, but just keeping it really simple, it's the old meeting the new. And the new, you could say, is re-emerging. It's the ancient ways. And we all know that the ancient ways are in touch, not just with nature, but with self, my relationship with matter, with the world around me. But number one, it comes from the inner state, you know? Relationship with my inner world.
And arguably, that is more powerful than anything. So
absolutely,
in terms of staying on this path, which is so difficult, it's the most worthwhile thing to try and be doing, because the power that we have to influence those around us spreads much faster than bad news, actually. So I want to now thank you. We should have a part 2, definitely, covering the meaning of success and how we then incorporate that into our daily job, especially for us as musicians, because as you well know, there's a lot of performance anxiety that we suffer from in our world, in our Western classical music world. And yes, I'd really love to talk about that in our part 2. But to wrap up part 1, I want to show the viewers all of these amazing things that you have done along with your partner, Carmen Warrington. You mentioned today in the talk, Today I Am. So this book has been very helpful to me. Today I Am by Carmen Warrington, Discover Your Inner World. You can open this up randomly. It's like a game, right? So let's play the game. I'm opening this up randomly to see what I am today. Today I am a feather. The winds of destiny summon me to my future, and my journey continues. I float blissfully along on gentle breezes and upward spiraling currents of warm air. Sometimes a strong gust catches me unaware, propelling me into the unknown. At other times, I lie inert, where I have been dumped by violent, battering winds. A feather has no power to resist the force of the winds. I must simply remain light, so that my landing will be painless. My lightness of being allows me to catch hold of even a slight puff of wind, so that I can follow my destiny. Isn't that just great? What a great book.
That's beautiful.
I highly recommend this to everyone. This changes your day. This has saved me so many times. This book absolutely saved me. And I know it's not about you, David. It's about Carmen, your wonderful life partner. But there we have it. There's that. Then there's this whole pile.
I really appreciate that, Sarah. That's beautiful. Yeah, Carmen has 2 books out, and the first one, Today I Will, was a little bestseller. And so this was the second book. Yeah, so glad you're mentioning that. Yeah.
So we will link all of this once this goes through Facebook. It'll go onto YouTube. So we'll link all of those things that I want you to, for people to know what you've done. There's David Jones and Friends. There's Colors of the Drum. There's Brothers with the most amazing bass player you'll ever hear. Meditations on Love, and another one by Carmen and David, Angel Songs. So look, David, I cannot thank you enough. This has been so amazing, marvelous. You have to be a regular on this show, please.
Love to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, Sarah. See you again soon.
Okay.